All right, these are for my athletes. If you're looking to put together your own training plan, this is the video for you. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Daru. I've been in the strength and conditioning world. I've been a performance coach for the past 16 years, working with some of the highest level athletes, 200 professionals, along with some world champions and some Olympic athletes. And today, I'm gonna show you how to put together your own program to dominate wherever you're at. Let's get into it. All right, so first and foremost, whenever I start with an athlete, I have to dissect the problem. So first, we want to give ourselves an assessment process, meaning that you have to assess your mobility, you have to assess your bioenergetic demands, meaning your conditioning. You also have to measure out and figure out how much strength you have and how much power do you have. Then from there, you need to identify or indicate what the issue is. What is your weak links? That's gonna help you formulate your plan of action. Now, once you formulate that, you gotta be consistent. So consistent effort done over time will get you where you want to be. So we have to put together a schedule that you can adhere to so that you can get that performance generated, but not overtrain yourself. Those are a lot of things that I see, not only with myself, is that you put together a plan and you do too much. So what we want to do is organize something that is going to be enough to get the positive adaptation, but not too much to dig you deep into a hole to where you can't crawl out of. Now, let's go over first and foremost, a weekly overview. Now you have 7 days in the week, right? You don't have to train every day to get progress. You do need to have frequency of training, but you need to measure that out based upon your ability to recover. And if you can't recover, then you can't progress. So make sure that you have ergogenic aids, you have a system or a protocol so that you can recover. Now, if you want supplements that help you with that, link is down below. I have some recovery supplements called Battle Tested. You can check it out. Now, weekly overview. So you have Monday. Now Monday is gonna be a strength, power, hypertrophy, or strength building day. Tuesday can be a conditioning day. You can do some aerobic work and some mobility. Wednesday, right? You're gonna go back to your strength work, right? Throw in some power or some hypertrophy work, depending on your goals. Thursday, another aerobic day. Put some mobility in there too as well. Right now, Friday, you're gonna go back to strength, power, hypertrophy. Saturday, we're gonna finish off with maybe conditioning, maybe some high intensity intervals or strength, power, hypertrophy, depending on your goals. Sunday, fully rest. You can do active rest, you can go for a walk, but you wanna make sure that you're not straining the body, right? Don't stress the body more than it needs to, because the next week you gotta be prepared to do it again. Now, the 4 pillars of athletic training, right? The 4 pillars are basic. You got strength, that's gonna be more high force. And we're talking about relative strength, how well you can produce force from your own body weight. And then absolute strength, how much max strength do you have? Another one is gonna be speed and power, right? So that's higher velocities, and that's your ability to create force fast. The other one is gonna be conditioning, right? So that's number 3. Conditioning is enhancing all of your bioenergetic demands that you do inside of your sport. It's enhancing your physiology. It's increasing your ability to do work, right? And then the last one, the 4th one, is gonna be mobility. So that's your joint prerequisites. That's your overall range of motion to get into certain positions and to allow you to do things from an exercise standpoint that will elicit a stimulus response, meaning it'll get you to where you wanna be. All right, so now that we have an understanding of the pillars, let's go over a template example for what we have throughout the week. Now, typically, if you're looking to increase almost everything, right? If you're looking to enhance your power, enhance your strength, maintain some hypertrophy or mobility too as well, and then increase your conditioning, this is something basic that you can follow. So Monday, we're gonna be working high force, meaning you're gonna use a compound lift with the foundational patterns, which I will go over. Then you're gonna do some hypertrophy training, meaning you're gonna build the muscles around that compound lift, right? So maybe it's a squat, maybe it's a deadlift, maybe it's a bench press, overhead press, whatever. And then you're gonna work in hypertrophy zones to help facilitate and strengthen up those muscles that surround the joint to allow you to do those movements. Tuesday, we're gonna go conditioning. Now conditioning, you wanna go lower intensity to give your body a break. It's slightly rest, but you're gonna do zone 2 running or zone 2 training. Wednesday, you're gonna go to high velocity or hypertrophy training. Now with the higher velocities, you're gonna improve your speed. So this is gonna be working power production. And then also you're gonna be doing some hypertrophy work too as well, just to maintain that muscle mass. Thursday, another conditioning protocol. We can use maffetone running or the MAF method. I'll get into that in a minute. Friday, maybe some hypertrophy and more mobility work to finish off that week. And then on Saturday, we're gonna do some type of high velocity training, maybe some dynamic effort, right? Improving power and power endurance. And with conditioning, we'll do a high intensity interval style of training so that you can hit all of those energy systems throughout each week. Let's talk about the foundational patterns, right? These are gonna be the exercises that you choose based around these patterns. The patterns that we have is push, pull, hinge, squat, carry, rotate, or gate. The push, right? You're looking at an overhead press, bench press, push-up, things like that. Anything in a pushing or pressing motion. Pull, anything like a bent over row, pull up, a row or pull variation. Hinge, that's gonna be your deadlifts, your RDLs, kettlebell swings, things like that. Your squat is gonna be a knee bend, so you're looking at back and front squat. Any type of squat will do. Your carries, you can think about farmer's carries or sandbag carries. Rotate and gate, that's like landmine variations, working through rotation, working through the transverse plane. All right, you can use med balls for that too as well, kettlebells. Really, you can do anything from an implement standpoint to work this particular pattern. Now, let's go over an example of a strength and hypertrophy day. So typically, you're gonna pick a compound lift in the first lift. So that first exercise, I should say, is gonna be something that is gonna require a large amount of muscle to be recruited and your nervous system to be activated. So we're gonna work on a front squat. You're gonna do 3 by 5. So that's 3 sets of 5 repetitions. And your rate of perceived exertion, that's what RPE stands for, is gonna be an 8 or a 9, meaning that it's gonna be highly intense, okay? So typically you don't wanna go higher than a 9, 9.5, especially if you're trying to leave something in the tank, right? As athletes, we want to train to prepare for competition. We don't wanna leave it all in the gym because you have to be ready for competition. So you wanna get it right to the edge and then back it down, right? That's why I stick with 8 to a 9 on the RPE scale. With an RPE scale, you got 1 to 10. Like I said, 8 to 9 is your sweet spot. Bent over rows, another compound lift that requires pulling motion, right? So now you have a squat pattern, a pull pattern, you have a hinge pattern, you have a press and a carry. With the rows, we're gonna keep it still in that same strength range. So 3 sets of 5 to 6 reps, still with an RPE 8 or 9, all right? As you go down the line throughout your training, the intensity is going to lessen. So now we're gonna be working more hypertrophy in hypertrophy zones. So you can do a dumbbell RDL, right? So we'll use dumbbells instead of a barbell. We're gonna go 3 sets of 6 to 8 with an RPE of 7 to 8. An overhead press can be a dumbbell overhead press. It could be a Viking press, all right? We're gonna do 3 sets of 6 to 8 there with an RPE of 8 too as well. The last one, I always like to leave carries and core and some type of rotation too at the end because you're gonna hit the midsection. So we're gonna go farmer's carries, either with a sandbag, you can use that, dumbbells, kettlebells, or if you have farmer's handles, use those. 3 sets of 40 yards. When you go to rest, these rest periods are gonna depend upon the intensity and your overall volume, and I'll get into that in a minute. When you're talking about progressions, right? That means how you're gonna progress week by week to get stronger. You wanna increase your progressions by 10 to 20% in volume per week. You're gonna do that over a 3 to 4 week span. After 4 to 5 weeks, you're gonna take a deload week, meaning you're gonna decrease your volume by about 40 to 60%, and you're gonna decrease your intensity by about 10 to 15% on that given deload week. After that, you're going to increase your intensity by 5 to 10% from the week prior before your deload. And then you're just gonna go off your volume increases after that. So you go volume up 10 to 20% for 3 to 4 weeks, deload week, and then increase your intensity and start back over, all right? Now, I'm gonna get into the specific zones and how you can orientate what you're trying to accomplish based upon the pillars of athletic training. All right, so let's go over the pillars and also the zones that you wanna work into, all right? So with strength and high force outputs, this is gonna be intense, right? So sets-wise, you're gonna be doing somewhere around 3 to 5 sets. Repetitions for beginners, you're gonna stick between 3 to 5 reps. If you're more advanced or intermediate to advanced, you can work in singles, doubles, and triples as well, as long as you can strain without breakdown of the movement. Right now, your rest intervals are gonna be somewhere around 90 to 120 seconds. If you're doing singles and doubles, that could be anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes of rest because you need to recover your central nervous system. The intensities, obviously you're gonna work in between, and this is when you find your 1 repetition max or your projected 1 rep max. You're gonna work from anywhere 80% all the way up to 100%, and that's gonna improve your high force output. For hypertrophy, right? Typically, you're gonna work sets of 3 to 4 sets, right? Reps are gonna be 6 to 12 repetitions, and your rest intervals are gonna be 60 to 120 seconds, right? The percentage of load is anywhere from 60 to 75%. You can dip into 80% only if you are a beginner. Now, your volume will change based upon your level of experience. The less volume you do with more experience, the better. Right? And the reason why is because you have more intensity to put out and you know how to recruit muscles more efficiently. So what I would do is I would start off with the lower volume range. That's your minimal effective volume. Then you want to work up to your maximal recoverable volume. So like I said, work your volume in those percentages and progress 10 to 20% until you reach your maximal recoverable volume. And you'll feel that through how you can recover in between training sessions. If it takes you a week to recover a particular muscle group, you did too much the week prior. It should only take you about 24 to 48 hours to recover from a muscular soreness standpoint from that exercise, all right? So manage your output, manage your volume based upon how you feel. That's gonna give you a subjective indicator to allow you to progress going forward. Okay, so power and speed. Now with power and speed, it has to be very explosive, right? Higher velocities. Meaning that you don't want to do too many reps because the velocity will lessen, right? It'll come down. So our sets can be higher, but our reps need to be lower. So typically you want to go sets between 3 to 6 sets, and your reps are going to be 1 to 5, right? Your rest intervals can be roughly 120 seconds, maybe even 2 minutes, just enough to where your central nervous system calms down. As far as conditioning goes, we're going to work in 2 different zones. We're going to work zone 2 and some maffetone. And then we're also gonna work zone 4 and zone 5. So we're working a high-low method, all right? Zone 2 is gonna be somewhere around 60 to 70% of your maximal heart rate. You can find out your maximal heart rate by doing a slight calculation of 220 minus your age. Now, the best way to do it is through maximally increasing your heart rate to its optimal or peak amount, and then you can find it. But for the most part, you can use that equation to help you out for now. With that being said, this is low to moderate intensity. You want to be able to only nasal breathe with this. So you're going to enhance your ability to take in oxygen and deliver that oxygen appropriately to the working tissue. Nasal breathing with good diaphragmatic breathing responses, meaning you're going to breathe through the diaphragm, 360 degrees. So we want more expansion of the rib cage as opposed to upper chest breathing. So it keeps you honest with your zone 2, because if you dip into zone 3, zone 4, you're gonna wanna mouth breathe, or at least nose to mouth. So make it a point to keep it in a nasal breathing zone. This is gonna be typically around 30 minutes to 2 hours, and that's at the top end, right? For athletes in a field-based sport or combat sport, I wouldn't go any longer than 60 minutes. Maffetone running, right? So, or MAF, right? You can use 180 minus your age, and that's gonna find your maximal aerobic function. So with this one, it's low to moderate intensity, right? And the duration of time is gonna be somewhere around 30 minutes to 2 hours, just like zone 2. This is really good to throw in mid-week. So again, if you look back at our calendar or our weekly calendar, you can throw this in on the second day of conditioning training, right? And whatever modality that you wanna use, whether it be an assault bike, a ski erg, a rower, running, doesn't matter. As long as you hit these zones, you're gonna be stimulating that energy system to allow you to get better. All right, now, the last one is high intensity intervals, right? So now you're gonna be working in zone 4, zone 5. This is highly intense. So this is about 80 to 100% of your maximal heart rate. This is high intensity, like I said. You're gonna be pushing your VO2 max. You're gonna be pushing your lactic threshold. What you wanna do here is you wanna work in 15 to 20 minute time frame of full duration, but the intensities are going to go up and down. So basically with the interval style, you wanna ramp up and then repeat as you rest for about, let's just say 2 to 1 work to rest ratio. So let's say you do 30 seconds on, right? And then you do 1 minute off, 30 seconds on, 1 minute off. You're gonna do that repeated for 15 to 20 minutes. How you can progress that is through duration of time and then also minimizing the rest periods. Just make sure that when you minimize the rest periods, you have the same amount of output in the work periods. So don't minimize the duration enough to where you lose not only your ability to move well, but also the output or the intent that you can do in those work intervals. All right, so a couple of wearables that you can use from an objective indicator standpoint is gonna be a heart rate monitor. A couple of heart rate monitors that I like, the Polar H10 and the Garmin. Make sure that you have a chest strap monitor because it is more accurate. You can also tie it into a Garmin watch just to make sure that you can see what you're doing. Another thing is an HRV monitor or a heart rate variability monitor because that's gonna show you how much stress you have accumulated. With the Whoop, it'll also allow you to understand your sleep quality and your strain levels throughout the day. I have no affiliation with these products, but I do know I actually wear them, so I'm gonna tell you what I think. But Whoop is good also as well to monitor your entire day's strain range, all right? So if you're looking to put together your programming, this is gonna be beneficial. Make sure that you identify the issues, you formulate the process based upon what you're trying to accomplish and reducing your weak links. All right, now if you have any more questions, hit the comments down below. If you want a structured program from me and my team, just hit the link down below because we do have one-on-one coaching available online if you do decide to do that. But other than that, hope this helps. Make it happen, dominate, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace. What's up guys, Daru here. Make sure you like this video and subscribe for more. See you on the next one.